this, I think taking time to reflect each day as you're going through the journey and writing down, hey, what went well today? What didn't go well? And what do I need to do tomorrow? I think there's this idea, like I listened to a podcast and I've got my leadership commitment going, but as a takeaway for you, write that down. Like, hey, I had a good day, kind of journal a little bit on your journey as you're launching your transformation or doing continuous improvement work of, hey, I noticed my operator was down today, that person tomorrow, and find out what's going on and how they're experiencing the change through this new process. And know your strengths. You got to your position because you have certain strengths, and you got to know your weakness. And so maybe you do like to control everything. And so maybe that's something you write down, like, hey, I need to give up more control today.
Welcome to Dr. M Wadcast, a wadcast with a mission, connecting continuous improvement professionals across the world. Hi, this is your host, Dr. M, and this is the episode 6 of Dr. M's SMET show. The guests today are Adam Lawrence from Pennsylvania, USA, and Dan Davis from Chicago, USA. They would be talking to us about a topic: how to build a strong leadership commitment for continuous improvement transformation. This episode is divided into 3 segments. The first segment of 5 minutes, the second segment of 10 minutes, and the third segment of 10 minutes. Over to segment 1. Welcome, Adam Lawrence, Pennsylvania, USA, and Dan Davis, Chicago, USA. Welcome to Dr. M's SMET show, single digit minute exchange of thoughts. So this format is divided into three segments. The first segment is of 5 minutes, and then I stop recording. In the 5 minutes, you need to introduce yourself and take a stand on the subject that we are going to talk about, is how to build a strong leadership commitment for continuous improvement transformation. That's a subject that you all are going to evolve. There's no discussion, there is no debate, it is evolving it. So the first segment is of 5 minutes, that makes a takt time of 2.5 each. And then I stop recording and I start recording again for 10 minutes. That's a free flow. There is no takt time. You all can exchange your views, share your time, what have you. And then I stop recording, and the final 10 minutes is more of summing up. And since you're talking about leadership commitment, maybe we'll get some critical attributes and we say thumbs up. The total timing is 25 minutes, and therefore we start so that you don't say Dr. M is biased, or because I get a lot of lean blessing from Dan, and I get wheel of sustainability from Adam. So I go in the alphabetic order and give Adam the first talk, and I need to start my timer. So whenever you're ready, let me know. I'll start my timer. Yeah, so if you're ready, then let's go. Let's go, Adam. Here we go.
Okay. Well, thanks, Dr. M. Thanks for hosting us. Dan, glad to see you again. So, hi, everyone. My name is Adam Lawrence. I've been with on one of the earlier Dr. M vodcasts, so it's nice to be back. My name is Adam Lawrence, and I'm the managing partner of Process Improvement Partners. I am a small consultancy helping business leaders solve complex problems in a sustainable way by engaging and empowering their employees. So our topic is how to build strong leadership commitment to sustain your continuous improvement journey or to build your transformation. So my thought about this is that we must engage our leaders and make sure that they truly understand what the image is. How are they to behave? How are they to act when they're building their transformation? So many documents, many books talk about what does that look like, or it talks about that that's a necessity. What I've tried to do is to try to make it as real as possible by providing the image of that. What does it look like when leaders engage and empower their employees, their teams to sustain that continuous improvement journey? So the first thing I did was I built a system I call the Wheel of Sustainability. And what I was trying to do was create elements that people could see. So an element, for example, is knowing your why. Why are we doing this transformation? Why is it important? Why does it matter not only to the business, but to the people that we work with and to our customers, of course? Once we know that why, what we're trying to do then is to establish and align it with every action that we take, including when we're supporting our teams as they're doing work to make improvements, that when they ask for help, the answer must always be yes. And with that, I'll stop because I'm not sure we had the timer quite right.
No, that's quite okay. You just eaten up into 0.24 seconds of Dan Davis. Dan is pretty fast at this.
Minus 7 for not following the time. But no, hi, I'm Dan Davis, Vice President of the Xylem Production System. It's great to be here. Great to see you, Dr. M. And just been a long life practitioner of lean and have a lot of passion around this topic. You know, if you think about all the locations that you go and visit, the sites that are phenomenal that you walk in and you're just amazed, typically has a strong leader in that facility. And in that facility, when you walk around, you see them developing the team of folks and individuals there. But they also have some characteristics, those leaders. And so you know, as Adam said, they're visionary thinking. They set the vision, they set the tone. This is where we want to go. This is where we want to get to. There's a sense of authenticity for those folks that you meet them, and they just have that passion. They've got great empathy. They've got a positive attitude. And it's a lot of fun when you go into that environment. I think of all the great leaders as you go in there. It's always a fun environment. And probably one of the most important things as you're setting up the leadership and the communication is the key. You know, being able to communicate to everybody clearly, over communicate the message of what you're trying to do and why it's important, and really selling what's in it for me. Letting the people know that, you know, doing this continuous improvement journey is going to help them. It's going to make their job easier. They're going to be able to fix what bugs you as part of the thing as they start to work their journey. But again, it's a visionary thinker. It's some authenticity. It's having a little bit of empathy, positive attitude, and effective communication. So I'll turn it back over to Dr. M for the next phase of this discussion.
Yeah, so let me finish the countdown. 7, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I stop recording. We heard Adam Lawrence talk about Wheel of Sustainability for the continuous improvement processes. This is contained in his book by the same name, as you can see in image 1. And in image 2, you have the wheel. It contains of 8 spokes and a hub, the hub being leadership commitment, and the 8 spokes being notification, training and review, visible evidence, all tools available, clear benefits, layered audit, accountability, recognition. And then we heard Dan talk about the environment where there is leadership commitment. He talks about visionary leadership, he talks about accountability, he talks about efforts to developing people, authenticity, a positive attitude, and above all, a fun environment. As we move to segment 2, it is reduced by 5 minutes. So instead of segment 2 being declared as 10 minutes. It will now be 5 minutes. Apologies to my guests for reducing the time, but I'm sure they're going to catch up with the challenge thrown to them. So let's hear them for 5 minutes in segment 2. Over to segment 2. So Dan, this is the second segment, and here you have 10 minutes, Adam and Dan. And let me know when you want the timer. And in all fairness, the D takes over A now. So Dan, all yours. Tell me when you'd start.
Well, thanks, Dr. M. I actually want to go back in and talk to Adam about the wheel of sustainability. I'm fascinated by his whole, concept here. We talked about the why, Adam. What's the next phase of as you're working your wheel of sustainability?
Well, Dan, I appreciate that. So the why is the starting point, the anchoring point. Why are we making the change? Why are we doing the transformation? So the wheel is just an image, right? It's an image of elements that we apply to the effort so that people understand not only why it is, but how do they fit? What are those benefits? What are the visuals that will tell me that I'm doing the right thing and I'm supporting the effort? What is expected of me? Have you given me the tools that I need? How are we going to audit? How are we going to verify? How are we going to hold ourselves accountable? And how did this actually help us? So I've just taken you around the wheel in a very quick way, but it's just a structure and a system to help people see, oh, when I make the change, I need all of these elements to ensure that people truly understand, they align, they buy in, and they follow what we're trying to accomplish. And this can't be placed anywhere without strong leadership commitment. They have to be able to be willing to let the teams create, present, and implement in a way that helps them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think with leaders, they are afraid to fail. As a leader, you're in this big environment and you're expected to be perfect, and people will make a mistake and then they think it's all over. Like, I didn't show up to a tiered meeting one day, and it might, what's going to happen there. And the biggest advice I always tell leaders is, you share your vision, get everything going, but you're going to make mistakes along the way. But get up quick and admit it and say, hey, sorry, I wasn't there yesterday. I heard the meeting was horrible. That's on me. I need to make sure I've got people trained that if I'm not there, I can come back and make sure it still moves on. So I think that's an important element as you go on. Any other characteristics that you see from a leader to help on sustainability?
Well, absolutely. It's what you spoke of earlier. I mean, let's be honest. Leaders have to want to be part of the change, to help their people change. And you can spot that a mile away, right? I do the same thing as you do. You walk through a facility, and I'm always taking a Gemba walk. My first visit with any facility, take a Gemba walk with leadership through their process, have them describe, watch how they engage. Watch how their people engage. Are they afraid to speak up? Are their people afraid to speak up? Are they afraid to say what's really happening? Because it's quite obvious, if you've been a practitioner for as long as you or I have been, it's quite obvious whether or not things are really as they seem, right? So it's a lot of fun to see, do they really care about what their people think? If they do, then you've got that foundation. Do they want to make things better for their people, for their company, and for their customer?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of passion around the business. I think if you have a visionary for the business and want to drive that, I see that the small business owners have really accelerated with the lean. And I don't know if it's more because they've got more into it. They love the work that they're doing. And then they find this tool of continuous improvement and all the different things and elements to make their business better. And then the passion and energy they've got for the business goes the same way with the passion and energy of continuous improvement. And they drive that home, and you go in and you have the morning meeting and you see everybody happy and you see the owner out in the floor, saying all this great stuff. And you're like, man, it's awesome, and you're all excited because you see it. And then you go into a $5 billion company with a site leader that it's not as invested into the continuous improvement. I mean, they're not being able to do that. And so it's really interesting to see the internal motivations of these leaders, from the owners of the companies that have all this money that, it's profitable for them and it's an environment. And they, a lot of times will share some of the profits with the employees and it's a great environment, to these multi-billion-dollar corporations, and the leaders there that really care and passionate about their folks. I think there's that red thread of caring about people and want to make sure that everybody are getting better in that whole piece.
Well, that's perfect. That's really perfect. I think you all have developed the art of keeping up to the time, and thank you very much. And I'm going to stop recording. Hey, that was a lovely flow of thoughts between the guests. So I'm not going to paraphrase it or disrupt the flow. So let's move over to segment 3, which is of 10 minutes. And that's where they're going to summarize it. So let's move on to segment 3. This is the last segment where we summarize all our thoughts together and give us a one-liner if possible. So, Adam, your time starts now, and your time is 10 minutes. So I need to make the delta correction. Tell me when you're ready, Adam. Ready to fly?
Anytime.
Here we go.
So great earlier discussion, Dr. M and Dan. Appreciate that. Listening to Dan talk about the passion of the leader, right? So the whole idea of getting that strong leadership commitment is that they have to give up some control, right? So in the old days, right, the top leader was making all the decisions for the business and we all had to plow ahead and do what was necessary, right? Now what we're saying is you have to be willing to make mistakes, give of yourself, be vulnerable, share your vision with the rest of your subordinates, those that work with you and for you, to be beneficial to the customer. You're giving of yourself in a way that sometimes is a hard leap to make. So when I go visit new potential clients, what am I looking for? I'm looking to see if do they have the willingness, the drive, the desire to be able to give of themselves in such a way to try something new and perhaps make mistakes, to cede control to the people that work with them and for them, to get those benefits for the customer. So again, going back to what Dan said, there's that passion. So it becomes easier to give a clear image of what does that look like? What's the physical and visual things that happen with leaders to show that they have that commitment? So going back to the term I said earlier, what's the reason? What's the why? Now, does that message find its way into everything they do? Are the visuals showing that same message? Is their speech giving that same message when they're interacting with their subordinates? Do they still have that same message? How does that work for you, Dan? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the vision has to be there. I was about a month ago walking through a Toyota facility, and you could feel the spirit of Toyota everywhere. I mean, visually, you could see, you walk by the Obeya room. I couldn't hop in there because I was on a public tour, but you just knew what their purpose was. And you knew just by walking in, the environment's there. And I think there's so many times where a site will do their vision, they'll do it one year, they'll set it, they might talk about it in a town hall, and then it's done. You don't ever see it, like when you walk into the facility and you feel what they're trying to get accomplished. I had a boss once say, it's like, Dan, hard work is hard work. And so I think sometimes this continuous improvement thing is hard work, and it takes discipline. It takes repetitiveness. They say 21 days to break a habit. But I mean, there's like things, and I think people, see this big thing and they try to do too much at once. And then like, oh, let's put a tiered accountability system and let's do all 4 levels and let's go in there. Hey, why don't we track hour by hour and put a goal and see how we're doing? And let's do some, whys of why it's going in. And maybe we should dig a little bit deeper and find out some root cause. And let's try a countermeasure And that might be the first 21 days in a cell with 5 people, because you're developing people. Lean's all about developing people. And as a leader, you need to be able to have that patience with people, but also know where you want to get to and have the vision to be able to see it, say, hey, is this solving the problem that we're trying to solve for? And are we able to do it? And is it working? And have that fortitude to be able to come back and have that discussion to check yourself. But it's also communicate, the vision. How do we get more visual? How do you walk into the building and see? And, it's like if you're into the sports analogy and, in Notre Dame, they have the sign that says play like a champion today, and they all slap that. And again, it's a visual control for folks to know that this is the environment that you want to make and go. So I think as a leader, you got to create the space, as you said earlier, to really have your team be successful. And so I think that's one of the keys that you see. Any other keys you see, Adam, that folks should be thinking about as a leader?
Well, absolutely. Again, we could do this all day, but Dr. M's going to cut us off anyway, so that's cool. Appreciate that. So, I'm a simple guy, right? That's why I love Lean so much. I'm a simple guy. Give me 3 things I need to know, 3 bullet points. Give me 5 words, do what we need to do. That's why TWI appeals to me so much. It's so simple. It just gets at, here's what people remember. So let's go back to this. What are the keys? For me, this image and this structure of what does it look like based upon why are we doing this? And so what I've learned is, so I write this book about wheel of sustainability, and I figure people read it and I'm going to show it to them and hey, they understand it. And then I realize, no, why would they understand it, until you put it into practice? So leadership commitment needs to be put into practice. So what I've started to do in the past year and a half is actually apply wheel of sustainability to the very specific issue or problem we're working on. And I typically am running and facilitating Kaizen events. Day 3 of a Kaizen event, team working on something. They're forming it, they're testing it, etc. Now we're going to take a tour of the wheel of sustainability around their specific topic. What does notification look like? What does visualization look like? What does the benefits look like? We actually do improv. So they're right in the middle of the thing. I get a volunteer and we go improv on it. This is what a leader would interact with their subordinate around this change that we've made. This is what it looks like. Because I think where we have difficulty is it reads good, it looks good, it's pretty, but how do I really do it? So what we really want to do to help people understand their role and what leadership commitment looks like is we need to help them, coach them, mentor them, teach them, facilitate them on how to actually do it so that they can build that behavior, build that muscle memory that, hey, it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to get people's input. It's okay to trial and error and learn and do some PDCA, but do it. It doesn't have to look pretty. It just got to work. So be willing, if you are willing to try to be different and try to change and engage your employees, then you already have it in you to be that strong leader and create that commitment. Now you have to build that out across the organization.
Yeah, and I think for the leaders out there, if you're watching this, I think taking time to reflect each day as you're going through the journey and writing down, hey, what went well today? What didn't go well? And what do I need to do tomorrow? I think there's this idea, like I listened to a podcast and I got my leadership commitment going, but as a takeaway for you, write that down. Like, hey, I had a good day, kind of journal a little bit on your journey as you're launching your transformation or doing continuous improvement work of, hey, I noticed my operator was down today, that person tomorrow, and find out what's going on and how they're experiencing the change through this new process. And know your strengths. You got to your position because you have certain strengths. And you got to know your weakness. And so maybe you do like to control everything. And so maybe that's something you write down, like, hey, I need to give up more control today. It's not going to happen overnight. You got to this point in your career that you are now in control of a lot of folks. And what got you here may not get you to the next level or keep you at this level. And so you just got to continue to reinvent yourself and really make sure you have that mindset of, hey, how'd I do? Am I behaving the way I should as a leader to drive this journey and take us to the next level. So I'll leave you guys with that thought. I'll turn it over to Adam to kind of wrap us up. And then obviously, Dr. M, thank you for having me today on this discussion.
Yeah, well, thanks, Dan. Certainly Dr. M for hosting us and keeping us on track and on time, even though I cheated on the first round, 7 seconds over. But really, the whole point of the journey is to start, take that first step. So never be afraid to start. The best time to start was 2 years ago. The next best time is to start now. There's a lot of great resources out there, a lot of great people that can help you. It doesn't have to be challenging. It doesn't have to be difficult. You just have to want to improve and engage and empower your folks to make things better for your organization, for them, and of course, for the customer. So, whatever structure or element or approach you take, as long as you're doing it for the right reasons, we're going to win. You're going to win, and people love to win. So help them win along that journey. And, to anybody who's listening to this, wish you the best. Dan, thanks for being part of this. Dr. M, thanks for hosting us. It's always great to see you. And I wish you both, much success, continued success in your journeys.
How to build strong leadership commitment for continuous improvement. Adam and Dan, a lot of excellent insights into the topic and what flow of thoughts between both of you. And your summary, Adam and Dan, is so great that I'm waiting for the viewers and the listeners to give their comments and the takeaways from this episode 6 of Dr. M's SMET show. See you. Thank you very much, Adam and Dan.